I am Kristen Hawley. I am a freelance journalist and also founder of Expedite, which is a newsletter about restaurant technology. Super excited to be here with these panelists to talk about the future of restaurants, which is my very favorite thing to talk about, and how we can shape it together. So I'm going to quickly introduce our panelists. To my right, Greg Doolin, owner of Doolin Soul Food, Hotville Chicken, and Doolinville Food Truck in Los Angeles. Then we have Brianna Valdez, who is founder and CEO of Home State, a Texas kitchen sharing breakfast tacos, queso, brisket, and genuine hospitality. Woo! And on the far end of the stage, we have Lynn Ta, co-founder of Regarding Her, a national nonprofit driven by female restaurateurs to empower other women in the industry, and also co-owner of Here's Looking at You and All Day Baby in Los Angeles. I am going to share some data from the National Restaurant Association's research, and then we'll talk about it together. The good news is that restaurant sales are growing. There has been a total of $86.1 billion spent in July, according to National Restaurant Association research. That compares to $68.3 billion in February 2020, before COVID, which feels like a different lifetime. Consumers are clearly ready to eat out, and also for our purposes to order in. At the same time, inflation, huge concern as of this moment, is driving costs up. Restaurants are getting creative with cutting costs, but it's challenging. There are menu changes to be had, yes, and raising prices. Also service model changes, changes in hours, staffing, and more. So now I get to talk to all of you. Obviously, the industry has gone through so many changes in the last few years. Things seem, from where I'm sitting, to be getting a little bit more predictable, or maybe getting. I'm going to ask the experts, actually. What is the biggest recent change that you've had in your business?
Well, I'll speak first. Thank you for having me today. The biggest change is, you just mentioned it, the inflation and the rising costs. That has been a tremendous challenge for the restaurant industry, and we have really had to come up with ways to be creative in dealing with that. We have reduced our hours, we've changed our menu around, and we've done different things to try to deal with that, dealing with our vendors and trying to get them to give us better pricing and things like that. But it's been really, really tough.
Brianna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me and Home State. I would agree with everything that Greg just shared. You know, we have so many external pressures at play, and it's just the nature of the restaurant business, period. But definitely during this time, we have all, increasing labor costs that we have to plan for. We know it's coming every year in LA County. So how do you prepare for that, knowing that that's coming? How do you make your costs work without raising your menu prices? So we have gotten really creative with adding some. We recently added a new taco that's a vegan taco, just on the heels of our last panel. But that was a lower cost taco with costs, and so it also was something we knew we needed to add another plant-based and vegan option to the menu, so it really filled two objectives. And so thinking about that, and then also planning for the future. So while we're trying to survive today, we're really thinking about what we need to put in place for tomorrow and a year ahead. But the biggest changes we've been working on is how we can recruit and retain team members. And so we've been working a lot on internal systems. That's where we focus most of our bandwidth now. I mean, it's not something that's very guest-facing, but it's so much effort and bandwidth an investment of time and resources and exploration to be able to put the right systems in place that can support our team's ability to grow. And also, when we do get great team members, how do we nurture them, support them, train them, develop them, and give them pathways so that they feel invested in their own growth as well. So we have put a ton. We just hired, he started last week, somebody who's heading up training and development. It's a brand new role for our company, but something we felt we desperately needed. We have been around for almost 9 years, but we didn't have some of the real nuts and bolts of how to develop somebody from day one and give them a clear pathway for development. And so we needed that, they needed that, and we know that hopefully that will start to return, pay dividends in their experience and the guest experience and obviously organization as a whole.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Reflecting, I think my biggest change that I've made recently has been at my second restaurant, which is called All Day Baby. That restaurant opened 3 months before the pandemic, and we had 65 employees, and we reduced to 0, and all of us were on unemployment. When we reopened with the PPP, I think we had like a necessary number of employees for a 6-week period of time. There was a time limit to that iteration of the PPP loan, and so for the longest time, I was only operating on 5 employees, like a bartender, 1 cook, 1 dishwasher, 1 cashier, and a barista. Then as we continued to pivot and things in the climate would change and vaccinations, et cetera, and demand would grow, the goal of All Day Baby, despite its name, was to be open all day long, which apparently most people interpret as all night long. So I felt a lot of pressure, obviously, to generate revenue at a really expensive corner of Silver Lake and to open for dinner service. And so hiring still to this day has been the hardest challenge, I think, probably for all of us if we're operating restaurants. And the struggle that I was having was that I couldn't hire and then retain my employees with such a fluctuating business. So my dinner concept, I think, while it was delicious and maybe like 5 people liked it, not enough people liked it. And so, people had to make like distinctive choices. Am I going to go to All Day Baby for what it's known for, which is its daytime selections, and I'll save dinner for later? The problem with the mentality of us saving it for later was that we were slow, so then staff would leave and because they were not making enough money, which they need. And this was really strange territory for me. I was so used to retaining staff. My first restaurant was open in 2016, and I still have that staff, except for the time we were closed. So anyway, what I did, to answer the question recently, was that I decided to create another restaurant concept, totally different, but still put it inside All Day Baby, and it serves dinner. And the menu, or that restaurant, is called Tête-à-Tête. Tête-à-Tête is a Vietnamese-inspired concept with a little bit of Latin flair. My business partner, the chef, is Mexican-American. So my point is what we had to do was just create something totally new and different, strategize, market it as a pop-up, sort of make energy around it maybe going away and disappearing. And we went from like $5 in sales to 5,000, on a random Wednesday, which was really helpful. And it's still really hard to retain staff, and that's probably the thing that kind of makes me lose sleep at night. So,
I want to ask about food costs specifically and inflation because I think that's a huge concern. It's one that doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. So I'm curious, how have food costs specifically changed the way that you're doing business?
Food costs have really had an impact on how we do business. It costs more to put the protein on the plate. Everything from eggs to milk, everything is up. Butter is up. And so it has really been a difficult challenge for us. Our customers are very price sensitive, and so we try not to raise prices unless we absolutely have to. But over the last couple of years, we've been forced to do that reluctantly. And so far, everybody's been okay with it. They understand the climate that we're in. We've had to take some items off the menu. We've had to adjust our hours so we don't stay open as long as we used to. We don't open up as early as we used to. And then we've had to really work with our vendors to make sure that they're giving us the best pricing all the time. But it's really a challenge, and that's what keeps me up at night.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there is a limit to how understanding your customers will be when it comes to raising prices? And how do you find it?
Absolutely. I think, if the price goes up too too much, people are going to start pulling out their cookbooks. I mean, how hard is it to fry chicken? Well,
how hard is it to fry chicken?
It's really hard to fry chicken. It's really hard to fry chicken. But seriously, yeah, it's that tight line that we're walking on. Where do we stop? And if we don't raise our pricing, then we're going to go out of business. So it's really, really tough because not only do we have to deal with food inflation, but we also have labor inflation, rent inflation. So we're getting hit on a lot of sides right now in this industry.
Brianna, you mentioned introducing a vegan taco, I think, that speaks both to the cost of food and also just customer desire. Can you just talk a little bit more about striking that balance when you have to be so cognizant of how much everything costs all the time?
Yeah, our menu is interesting because, like Lynn's concept, we are all day, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That doesn't mean that people don't order more dinner items in the morning or that people don't order breakfast items in the evening. So really presenting a thoughtful menu mix for our guests and also for blended COGS. So we want to make sure that if we're selling, a bunch of brisket tacos at night, that we're selling a lot of bean tacos in the morning. And we also want to make sure that we're showcasing how delicious some of the non-meat focused tacos are on Instagram. So those Instagram posts, we don't have a huge following. We have 40,000 followers, which I'm really proud of. They've been very hard earned.
Significant.
But when we post those images, we do see a direct response from our guests. So we're like, oh my gosh, you guys posted queso today, and then or a Frito pie, and like the whole dining room's eating Frito pies. It's like puppet master over there, our head of social media.
Same day? Same day?
So it's really, you really do have some influence over how people are ordering at that time. So we try and look at those different opportunities and kind of reinventing things, like our cookie milk. We just changed it to oat milk, which is something I personally was super excited about, and then we shared that, so we got people interested in ordering, a lower cost beverage that keeps people excited because our menu doesn't change too often. But I'm just looking at the list here, eggs, butter, poultry, milk, flour, and cheese. Those are like our top ingredients, the ones listed here that have shown such an increase in cost. We worked with our vendors to think, how can we repackage our butter? It used to come in traditional sticks, and so now we get blocks, like 5-pound blocks. And so that's less packaging. It's easier for the vendor to process on their end. We actually looked at our eggs, like if we're shipping like so many eggs, like can we pool the eggs? It's the same egg, but they can do it in-house. It saves labor, and they can do it on their end. Our partner is Vital Farm Eggs. They can process the eggs on their end. It's less weight for them to ship it to us, so they can lower the cost. And it reduces the cost once it arrives to us. We don't have to then go and break 1,000 eggs a day. So, or crack 1,000 eggs a day and then blend them. So really looking at, how can we get creative with our vendors to find solutions? Because it definitely has to be a partnership. You can't, you can say, hey, to your vendor, hey, I need to get my prices down. Like this cost of XYZ is too much. Well, yeah, every single, client and partner they have is giving them the same phone call. But like, what solutions can we bring to them that they can say, you know what, we've never done that before. We've heard that a lot. We've never done that before, but let's think about it. We'll talk to the team. We'll get back to you. It's not an immediate fix, but it can be. There are solutions out there, and I think that's what we're really being forced to look at. We cannot status quo. We have to look at every little crumb of our organization and all the impacts, and where can we pick up the crumbs and make an impact, like pull them together over here, because it does feel like you're kind of wrangling crumbs, but those crumbs can add up, especially for some of your higher use items.
So speaking of getting creative, I do want to talk about hiring and retaining staff, which I know is a huge concern. Job growth is gaining momentum. Over the summer, in July specifically, restaurants added over 74,000 jobs. In September, that number was 60,000. Unfortunately, in October, recently, we just heard last week there was a bit of a slowdown, and it was only 6,000, according to early data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Also over the summer, though, a recent survey of operators said that 84% plan to hire more staff over the next 6 months, as long as there are qualified applicants. So I know there's a whole panel today about hiring, but I want to specifically ask what's working and about best practices. How have you hired and trained recently successfully? Any strategies to share? Lynn, do you have,
Sure.
do you have some thoughts?
I mean, my strategy at my reopened restaurant, Here's Looking at You, was to rehire old and amazing former employees. And that restaurant is lucky in the way that, it had a built-in reputation that essentially just replicated it like it had never been closed for 2 years. At All Day Baby, it's interesting. It's, the price point for food and check averages is a little bit lower, so you're not going to get, and it's like an employee's market out there. Like, they can get any job that they want at the fanciest, most expensive, hottest restaurant. So if you're not hottest times 3, it's a little bit harder for you. So the check averages is a little lower, so we have to hire, and Brianne and I talked about this on the side. We're obviously just meeting a whole new generation of individuals. We'll just call them Gen Z. And, Gen Z has either not worked in this industry before, has learned a lot of life important things like mental wellness, et cetera. I mean, they're just a whole other breed of people. I mean, I specifically, you need to be very aware of that. We've also tried to live through this COVID thing and fear and the calling out nature of what is sort of running rampant right now. Like Breezy and I were just saying how there's never been a day where we've run with a normal full staff. Like someone has called out tonight, by the way, where I'm working and I'm hosting and managing at the same time and expediting. So we have to find individuals that I think are willing to listen and kind of learn the skills of actually caring again, like really what the root of what hospitality and restaurant work is. I actually don't know that they know. I think a lot of people from the past have departed. I know, it's really funny. And it's odd. I sit around and I do interviews every day. I can't hire a hostess. I think it's been really challenging to hire a team member that is really meant to be a delightful greeter, smart with technology, amazing with problem solving when people want to camp for 4 hours because they're having an amazing time but drinking water. But it's like, so anyway, whenever I figure out, when I find myself on a brink of feeling frustrated or helpless, I just have to remember, we're going to be responsible for breeding this new culture of restaurant workers. So maybe they're not going to work out, but at least I try to relate to them with other industries just so that they can think about it a little differently. I think about the airline industry a lot. I think where it's so normal and easy to at Delta, at American Airlines about how upset you are with their delays. But the truth is that I can only imagine how difficult that work is, to be a flight attendant and to be in such claustrophobic spaces and to be yelled at and not being kind to. So when my restaurant employees want to quit because they want to leave this industry entirely, I have deep amounts of empathy, sadness, and compassion for all of it. But like yesterday, I was interviewing a young lady. She's 22, my gosh. And I was like, I just want to be upfront with you about what this kind of work is. I was like, it's great. The food is lovely. It's artistic and yay. But like, you have to not take it personally when these people, maybe who haven't been out or whatever their manners are and however entitled they may feel, the definition of resilience has never been more important. I continue to look it up because I want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding it. But they gotta just let this roll off their shoulders, that it's not personal. And unfortunately, these people, they do misbehave. And it's not major, but it's been heartbreaking to see team members quit because people just can't act right. And we're receiving a lot of emotion and energy from it. And it's just gonna take time. Like I was just talking to Greg, these are some dark ages. and the solution to the future is not bright tomorrow yet, but it shall come soon, hopefully.
Somebody said to me when we were really struggling to hire, like, hey, what if we do an employee incentive program and we give people $500 if somebody stays for 3 months? And I was like, $500? That's a lot. And they're like, well, $300 isn't enough, and it's not like going to really motivate somebody to like go recruit their friends or family members. So we ended up doing it because the cost of not doing it was so painful.
Yeah.
Not to have enough team members, not to have enough time to train people before you kind of throw them out and you're like, you got it. So we did put that in place about a year ago, and it's been really successful. And it's bred a lot of loyalty because it's allowed team members to go to their friends and family and like say, hey, I actually really like working for Home State. They're our best recruiters. If they're happy, they can go out and be a messenger of our brand, our company culture, what they love about it. And so that's like a very authentic approach to saying, hey, you should come work for us. And it can breed, people like working with their friends. So it just can breed a nice culture. So I really recommend that if you're able to implement something like that, it's been helpful. And then also looking from within to promote. We are like always trying to find managers. Oh my God, we can't find a manager. Either they're overqualified or they're underqualified, but they think they're GM level, but you're like, really? No. But, people really want to skip steps these days. I think we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Where people want to skip steps. They want to go straight from like the line to like running the show. You're like, well, you have a lot in the middle. It takes years to learn. So really looking at people that are already in-house, on the team, understand the culture, have a great understanding of who we are, what makes the job, and who are excited about it, and we see potential in, like going to them like, hey, are you interested? And then that is just a bit more successful than us waiting to find the perfect candidate from external. Mm-hmm. So that's been really helpful as well. We needed support in how we can execute that and provide people the pathway, because you can say, hey, do you want to become a GM? Yeah, it sounds amazing. How are we going to get you there successfully? How are we going to live up to that commitment? Like we see this potential in you. How are we going to foster that potential and breed that and earn that trust and earn that commitment and that loyalty? So you have to be able to back it up, and that's always a struggle because it takes time and it takes bandwidth and it takes somebody committed to that person's development, and usually a team, because that person needs the support of a lot of different team members. So but we do think that that's how we're going to continue to go, so that we can retain staff, and then we're not always looking from the outside, because it's just that can feel very hopeless. Like when you're like, oh my gosh, why can't we find the perfect person when the perfect person might be already in our organization?
I think you answered both questions, so thank you.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is it a formalized program for development?
We are in the process of formalizing it.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to answer that until last week when we did find the right person who we're so excited about, because we've never done this before. We're learning as we go. So
awesome.
He's done it a ton of times, and we're really excited to formalize it.
Wonderful.
I can't tell you the number of times we've put out a job posting, 10 people respond that they want to come for an interview, and nobody shows up. And I'm sure a lot of us have gone through that. One of the things that we started doing is hiring older folks, or folks who are a little bit more senior, folks who are maybe on their second career, just want to work part-time, and that really has worked out really well for us. They're able to converse well with the customers. Typically, you can train them or show them how to do something once or twice, and they've got it. There's a respect level there because of their life experiences and things like that, and that's what's been getting us through over the time. So, try some of the folks that have been out there. They'd love to work a few hours a week, and they're wonderful employees. So that's something that's been really working for us.
Great.
Awesome.
Obviously, we've been talking about this the whole time we've been up here. Business conditions are tough. These numbers are from over the summer, but it seems like, based on our conversation, this trend has continued. This basically says that about half of operators said that business conditions have gotten worse from 3 months prior. The pandemic very clearly made diversified revenue streams critical for business. There were a lot of things that spun up temporarily to help keep restaurants afloat. Some of those things have become permanent. I'm curious what you are offering at your businesses now beyond, traditional restaurant service that you see continuing perhaps indefinitely into the future.
Well, for us, diversified revenue streams are critical to our survival, and they always have been. We have a banquet facility where we do special occasions and events for our customers. We're building a new takeout kitchen only to handle our DoorDash orders and things like that, separate from our main kitchen. We have a food truck that we use for special catering events. We have the retail restaurant, and then what we also do is we do dual branding with our concepts. So we have Doolin Soul Food and Hotville Chicken. So we created the Doolinville food truck, which can serve either menu or sometimes a little bit of both. And we have all these different revenue streams that are coming in. And our catering division is very, very helpful. You have to have diversified revenue streams if you're going to make it in this industry. We recently started doing senior prepackaged meals for senior citizens, which is really popular, really, really popular. And so we just try to think of any way we can to bring in revenue to the business. And that is something that we have to do as an industry. Collaborations with other restaurants is something else that we've tried and been successful with. Things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, we have to try. And some of those things have been really, really helpful for us.
I'd echo that. We really have spent a lot of time rebuilding and even investing more so in our catering and offsite programs. So has anyone here ever been to a party where they serve home state?
Yes.
We're huge with the kids' birthdays. So I had a friend who has 2 kids and went to 3 birthday parties in the same weekend. He said all of them had home state. So our goal is to replace the birthday pizza or the office bagel. So we're really putting a lot of effort behind that because we know it travels well and we know it brings a lot of people joy and we know people are looking for something different and that it really can travel well. It does well with kids. It does well with adults. And we know new employers are always looking, especially now to get people back in the office or looking for fun ways to kind of make it more exciting or lure people into the office. So hey, we're talking to people who are head of ordering for their different businesses. We actually, in our Playa Vista location, are really close to Facebook or Meta and a lot of other, tons of businesses over there. So we're like, how do we become part of their routines and how do we let them know about us? So we'll send them a box of tacos and, be like, oh my God. So really looking at ways that we can get creative, taking those prices down a little bit. If you order a box of tacos and they're all the same tacos, you get a reduced rate because we know that that's a lot easier on our team to produce it that way. If you get 2 types, it's a little bit more expensive, but if you get all mixed up, you pay full price because that's a lot on the team to kind of make a ton of tacos of different ones and to do that efficiently. So we kind of have structured our system to make it really easy. We built an online software where you can just click a button. You don't have to call. And we used to do that oh, you'd like to have a party next week. Great. How many people? It's just with so many back and forth. So we made a system where you click and it's da-da-da-da-da, and then we approve it and then it's done. So really working on that.
Awesome.
A lot.
We're right at time, but I want to get one more question in, speed round. What are you looking forward to in the future? Is there something that keeps you hopeful and keeps you going? 10 seconds each.
Kind of what I was saying earlier, I really do believe and am hopeful that there's just going to be, once we kind of get through these difficult times, there is going to be a whole new breed of people with not a lot of actually restaurant excess baggage that they don't have. It's just, they're really going to have innovative eyes for us to sort of massage and work with. I've really enjoyed some of these newer individuals that I've I've met that are really flexible and interested in the kind of work, and and the fact that they do two restaurant roles in the one building, like they like that, like they think it's funny, and so I'm really looking forward to sort of getting through this time. And I used to be a writer in my old work, and there's an author, I can't remember who, it might be Dorothy Parker, someone has to Google it for me, but she always says nobody likes having to write, but everybody likes having written. And I really feel that nobody really likes this time right now. I don't care what you say. And I'm very optimistic, but I really do believe that once we get through it, we're going to be like, oh my gosh, remember that time? And we already do. Like when we talk about 2020, we're like, oh, that was really funny when we packaged that stuff, right? Remember that when I drove all those pies to Century City at 6 a.m. for Thanksgiving, which I'm going to do again, I hope.
For me, a reason I actually got into this business, besides wanting to share the story of my family and their culinary background or experience, was to really help shape a new restaurant culture and to start to shed some of the old skin that we've been living in for so long and think of new ways to do things and new ways to treat people and new ways to distribute tips and new ways to bring higher quality food. So we're always in a state of transition. It's the nature of the business, of any business, especially the restaurant. But I know that for the reason that I got into this business is the reason that I'm still so deeply committed to it, and I'm excited to continue to explore what's possible for our team, for the restaurant industry, because we are in a state of change. It is changing, but that's an exciting thing, is when you're not like, in the fetal position, crying, from the stress. Those are moments where like, wait, this is good. This is stress. Putting stress on this is painful, but it actually, I think, hopefully will end up in a much healthier place.
Great. I'm going to cut you at 10 seconds.
For me, I'm a second-generation restaurateur, and I have a new grandson who just made a year last week, and I am looking forward to introducing him to the family business. I've already started bringing him to the restaurant and carrying him around. He doesn't know what anything is, but one day he's going to have to work there. And so I'm looking forward to that, and it brings a lot of joy to my life, and I know my dad would be very proud.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us.